Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. This is a paid request. It's time for Oliver. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, PayPal is usually the best bet, or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a film called Crime Busters from 1977, which stars Terence Hill and Bud Spencer. Now, for those who don't know, I think I reviewed a few of these way back then. These two, I first saw them in the movie called They Call Me Trinity, which was a Italian Western that was kind of a comedic take on the Man with No Name films, Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, that type of stuff. The spaghetti Western stuff, I should say. If you've seen Django Unchained with Quentin Tarantino, the end, that music, that's the theme of They Call Me Trinity. I love They Call Me Trinity. I definitely think it's the best those two have done. Terence Hill and Bud Spencer. I don't mind the sequel. Trinity is still my name. I would actually say the second best one they did is Watch Out We're Mad. That's a very fun one. And from They Call Me Trinity to, I want to say, before Terence Hill did, well, during or I can't remember which, around the time he did that film Mr. Billions, which is, I think right before this, actually, they had a certain different dub voice. What I mean by that is, I forget if they were German, or at least Terence Hill. They had thick accents. So they were dubbed by people in Italy, but also in America they were dubbed by different people much more fluent in English. Now the ones I'm used to and the ones I prefer are the ones that they did from They Call Me Trinity to right before this. I think that's why They Call Me Trinity, Watch Out We're Mad, and Trinity's Still My Name are my thief. There's some of the reasons why those are my three favorites of these guys. Is because I'm so used to those voices as the dub that when you change them, it makes things a bit off and awkward for me. I know it's not fair, but I'm just being honest. So here are different voice actors for the dubs of these two. I will say I'm not as much of a fan of those dubs compared to the ones in Watch Out We're Mad and They Call Me Trinity. They're manageable, but again, it's part of my brain that goes, that's not, none of them are them, but it's like, oh, that's not them. Like, it just bugs me. It's like Jackie Chan in Police Story. You know, Jackie Chan went back to redo his dub, or to do his own dub in other movies like Super Cop, Jackie Chan's First Strike, Rumble in the Bronx, but he never did it for Police Story 1 and 2. I don't know why he never did that. I guess the opportunity never came up. But I think that was a missed opportunity. Because I love Police Story. I like Police Story 2. But it's one of those, like, it's not Jackie's voice. And I can't help it. I can't help because it's just trying to separate it. And it's tough to do it. It's hard for me to do it. Now, it might seem pithy to people, but just how it is for me. So regardless of that, the setup of Crime Busters is that I like the setup. I actually thought the beginning was rather funny. Bud Spencer's trying to find a job, and these people mess with him and saying, "Well, you're fat. You don't need more food." And so they try to fight him, and then Bud Spencer, the big guy, beats the hell out of them. Even the way he's introduced, I thought was funny because he's standing on a forklift. And someone's driving him towards them. He's kind of standing on a forklift, kind of eating a little bit of stuff. I thought, what a great entrance for a character. To just stand on a forklift while someone's driving, just... I thought that was, again, a great entrance. And then, again, they mess with him. They try to fight him. He defends himself. Wrecks them. He's like, hey, I need a job. Get some money. Hey, fatty. They fight him. He beats their ass. And even breaks their car with a sledgehammer. Then he walks away. Then we're introduced to Terence Hill, who people are chasing him for like $5. He runs off. He goes over here, hey, you got any jobs? It's the same people, and then they try to start a fight with Terence Hill. So then he beats their ass. So it's the same people get beaten up by Bud, Spencer, and Terence Hill on two different occasions, and both get their cars wrecked in different ways. Bud wrecks it with a sledgehammer. Terence Hill, when he beats him up, takes a forklift, lifts one car, puts it on the other car, and then leaves. I thought that, again, that was a pretty entertaining way to introduce where, lo and behold, they both beat the same group of bad guys, and they both beat up the same group of bad guys, and then soon after they meet each other, they're chased. Oh, they're chasing me. No, they're chasing me. I thought some of the reviews were funny. Like, you have this warehouse with all these boxes, and the guy's looking, and you see, like, he turns a corner, and then you see Bud and Terence go, and then soon, like 5 seconds later, the guy comes up and the two are behind them. Like, oh man. And then you see that they've driven back to the same guys, and now both of them pretty much force them to bash their car one more time. Again, I thought that was a funny setup. So the rest of the story is they decide to work together. They see that there's some cops nearby, some motorcycle cops. They think they're going, hey, let's try to rob this place. But they go in, they find out that it's actually a police station. And then inadvertently, they get kind of pushed into going to police training. Now, I will say, other than the dubs, I don't like this as much as those other three I mentioned. They Told Me Trinity, Trinity's Still My Name, and Watch Out We're Mad. I did obviously They Told Me Trinity and Watch Out We're Mad are my two favorites. Because I thought the pacing in this was sluggish at times. It's like an hour and 48 minutes. I think that's a bit too long for this kind of movie. That's almost 2 hours. I think a good, 15 minutes could have been shaved off in the middle, because at times it's a bit sluggish. Or, if you don't have that long of a running time, I think there's certain elements they could have milked more out of. Like, for example, they go through police training, but I think they could have done a lot more with the police training sequences. The guy who's training them, I recognize the guy. If you remember the Big Lebowski, the guy in the wheelchair, the actual Lebowski, who John Goodman picks up and throws to the ground. I bet he's faking it. That guy, I believe, is the guy who's training them in this, who's like the captain or whatever. And some of the training was kind of decently funny. In this, slapstick way, if you're into this type of thing, of course. Like, they're teaching the cadets how to get someone out of the car and put your hands behind your back. Bud Spencer just goes in, slams the car door, and the guy rolls him out and has the guy already handcuffed. There's a shooting range, and of course Terence Hill's really good with a pistol. Granted, that's never used again, him being good with a pistol. You think, and that's what I mean, there's certain things that they could have utilized a lot more with them becoming cops. But really, other than the fast called crime busters, they didn't really need to be cops. They could have been any other job description, and for the most part could have been the same plot, the same story. Like, they could have been working at a diner, they could have been firefighters, they could have been almost any other job and have almost the same movie. So I think there's a lot more they could have done with them being cops. Whether it be, I think, police training, there's a lot, hell, like you would see later in police academy films. There's a lot of potential comedic slapstick in police training you could have utilized and gone further with. I just think there are sometimes there's just too many slow spots that this could use a lot of tightening up in the editing room. But I don't mind the film either. I do think there's enough good moments here, and also the title tune with the guitar work I thought was rather catchy. Like it's a title, and there's no lyrics, but it's the bit of guitar theme. I thought it was catchy enough that when they used it from time to time, it was nice to hear it again. I thought that was. I don't remember if it has a title or anything, but I'll just say the main theme that plays throughout it I thought was rather catchy. Once in a while, there's a line that I thought was kind of funny. Like they're during police training, they're supposed to look at a dead body and they see it, and it's someone who Terence Hill recognizes. It was this Asian guy who helped him out. And Bud Spencer says, "When you last saw him, was he horizontal?" "No, he was vertical." As in, was he dead? "No, he was alive." But I just never heard it said that way. Was he horizontal? "No, he was vertical." I thought that was actually pretty funny. And there's a couple of entertaining fights in this. There's a restaurant fight where Terence Hill's pretending to be on crutches and Bud Spencer pretending to be a deaf mute. And they're like talking, trying to converse with each other while these guys are trying to screw up this restaurant. And Terence Hill goes, he says, "You better take off or he's going to shove your head up your ass." And they get in a fight, and I thought the fights were entertaining. If you've seen these kind of movies, you know what kind of fights they do. Bud Spencer, bid slaps, using his power to throw people everywhere, just toss people over the counter of the restaurant, or just throw people. Terence Hill using more equipment, the crutches or agility, maybe some kicks here and there. I'm a sucker for that stuff. I enjoy when they do that. And they do that quite a couple times here. At least 3 times, 3 fun scenes. There's that scene. There's a scene on a football field where this group that you think are Native Americans, even the music does the dun 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 dun. But then at the end, the guy like admits, "Oh, my name is John Philip blah blah blah." So he's a white guy pretending to be Native American. But like there's this football scene where the two go after these guys and they're beating them up, and at times both Terrence and Bud will take a guy, headlock him, and like run towards for like a touchdown. But they got the guy by the headlock and they're just pushing people around. I thought that was kind of funny. Bud Spencer punches a guy and the guy goes over the field goal. And then there's a bowling alley fight at the end, which I thought was entertaining. Granted, They Told Me Trinity and Watch Out We're Mad I thought were better. But again, this has some fun ones. During that, Bud Spencer using bowling balls to hit people in the face or slam it down on someone's foot. Terence Hill using a mop or using pool balls, cue balls, I should say, cue balls or bowling pins. You know, he does one of those, I think it's like the mule kick, where he grabs something, he, with his 2 back legs, jumps up and kicks 2 people in the face. I just call it the mule kick. I don't know how else you word it. Like I said, not all the set pieces work. Some of them are there, and I think could have been cut out. Like I said, I think with editing, this could have been tightened down. And there's a few scenes that don't. There's a few scenes that don't really amount to anything that I think would have helped the pacing. Like there's a bit where like they didn't want to be in the police academy. They didn't want to be cops, and they're told they won't be fired for months unless something special comes up. So they realize there's the district attorney and this other guy. So it's like, okay, we're going to arrest them and we're going to do all this and then we'll get fired. But then they're actually commended. It's like, well, wait a minute, we're supposed to be fired. But nothing that really amounts to that a whole lot. Other than, I guess, maybe this look back on the bad guys for the end. I guess, but even then, not really. I mean, like you could have cut that out. You still would have gotten the same result because of other things that happen. Same with like there's these two girls that kind of hit on them, where now they're on motorcycle as cops, and they seduce them back to this place, and I kind of realize quickly who these girls are, and they pretty much like keep ordering food, and they keep pouring drinks for the ladies, and keep ordering food and pour drinks to the ladies, and you have this running joke where the waiter keeps popping in with different pieces of food, so it ends with like the girls are passed out, and the two guys grab the food and they leave. There's a bit where Terence Hill like burps, and you see this wind blow into the woman's face, like ooh. I didn't really find that scene that funny or needed. Same, that's what I mean. Unless you're gonna do more with the police academy, that I think you could have. There's a lot of comedy left on the field that you could have dealt with. All the different aspects of police academy. Like even like you remember Major Payne when at the beginning he's supposed to look at domestic disturbance, and then Major Payne just keeps whipping him. But maybe like certain aspects, like oh wow, they're actually pretty good. They did an A. Or I didn't like the first Police Academy or bits of the sequels, the or just as cops. I mean, like as cops, be like a comedic version of Dirty Harry, where there's all these different crimes, and they don't really want to solve them, but lo and behold, they're actually pretty good at it. So just have like a number of crimes happening, where it's like, oh god, okay, oh yeah, maybe we get some ice cream here, okay, fine, and then like have all these little comedic action moments scattered throughout that, unbeknownst to them, they're actually being commended for jobs they don't really want to do. I just think there's a lot more you could have gotten out of this, where they could have delved a bit more into that. Again, I just think that I don't know. I didn't mind the film. I thought it was fun enough. Being a fan of these guys. Like I said, I think just the stuff with the bad guys aren't really that interesting. Like the stuff with the two girls, that whole scene I thought went on for way too long. There's a bit where to do their good deed, they find out that the Asian guy, there's his family, and they find out, oh wait, actually this Asian family is related to that guy who died, and they don't want to say yet because they don't want to make him sad. But yeah, sure, we'll help. We'll find them. But I'm making it sound worse than it is. It is a fun enough movie that I did have a good time. Like I said, unless you had that stuff in, I think 15 minutes at least could have been cut out of it. But like I said, I liked the opening. I thought that was entertaining. I thought that, again, the restaurant fight, and then the football field fight. I would say between the restaurant fight and the football field fight, I think there's a lot more they could have done with them being cops. It's more of the thing with the politicians that didn't really amount to anything. The district attorney, I should say. The Asian family, which, I was kind of indifferent on. I'd rather just be, oh, we're just doing our jobs, and wow, we actually started to like this. I mean, didn't really need anything else with that. Like, the whole Asian family thing, you could literally just cut out. Just have it be they're doing their jobs, and they actually start to like it. They didn't think they would, and just have oh, hey, this guy died, and he helped me at the beginning. I want to find a way to help him back. At least you'll find out how he died. That's really all you needed. You take out the rest of the Asian family and some of the stuff in the middle, tighten it up, and you'd have a perfectly solid, goofy, slapstick comedy. As is, I thought it was okay. I liked it for what it was. Again, the others I mentioned I put up above it, but like I said, there's enough entertaining set pieces. The ending, the ball alley, I thought was rather entertaining. Maybe if it was the dub voices from those earlier films, I would have been more fine with those in the middle. It just, even that was messing with my head, and it's like, I know that's not really fair to do, but I'm just being honest. But yeah, I don't want to make it sound like it's not an awful, terrible movie. I didn't have a bad time watching it. I did have an overall decent time watching it. I think if you like these guys, it's worth a watch. It's I would say I guess one of their better ones compared to some of the others, but I think bits and pieces. What was it, Miami Super Cops? Which is funny. This takes place in Miami too, and they're cops. It seemed like from bits I heard and saw of that, I like this more than that one. But overall, you know, I still had a decent enough time with it. So, with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.